Hey everyone, Jason here from Off the Beaten Path, and we're picking up where we left off at Quart Pot Flat Hut. Now we do head down and try and check out the water. Don't quite get there, as you'll see in the video, before making our way back along Limestone Gap Track, back to the Razorback Spur Track, down past the Peg Leg Track, and then on to Whitelaws Creek Rd, Wombat Creek Track, down here to the Wombat Post Office Hut. Great little hut to visit and big camping area there, long drop toilet as well. Pushing on from there, we head down 4 Mile Creek Track and then across on the JP Gap Track over here to Kennedy's Hut, right on the banks of the Mitta River. Cracking traditional log style hut. So that's what we'll be covering off in today's video, guys. Without any further ado, let's get into it. Hey everyone, Jason here from Off the Beaten Path, picking up where we left off here at Quart Pot Hut. Now, just as I jumped in the car and getting ready to head out of the campground, I spied this little, what looked like a track over here. So already in the car, I thought, why don't we drive down there and see where it goes. It definitely looked like a track, but you know, as I got sort of closer to it like this, I realized it doesn't look like it's been driven very much. I was kind of hopeful that this might lead to a second campground or something like that, and possibly once upon a time I think that might have been the case. However, once I got just up here through these bushes, the track dropped down and there was a massive big tree, dead tree fall there blocking the track. And it was very overgrown beyond that tree as well, so yeah, that was a no-go, but wanted to check it out. Thought it might have been, you know, another campground. So there's about a 4,000 point turn there, maybe not that many, but anyway, we got turned around and headed back out towards the hut. So the last thing in this area is, do we push on past the hut to try and get down to the water at Dartmouth, given this is one way in, one way out, and how far in it is and how long it is likely to be before I get a chance to drive back in here again. I decided, yeah, why not? Let's push on. Let's follow the track. It's still in pretty good order, and let's see if we can't get down to the water. And yeah, you can see here, track's in really good condition still. Appears to be reasonably well used. And yeah, we're making reasonably steady time. The sun's starting to get up a little higher, so don't need the headlights anymore. Nice big campground there just on the left, as you notice. So, you know, if you did come down in here and there was somebody else camping at the hut and you wanted to camp down in here, keep in mind there's that second campground there, only a couple of kilometres past the hut. Well worth considering and checking out. A little bit of a climb here. Yeah, some evidence of some recent storms there as well. But all in all, I was getting pretty hopeful, given how good condition this track was in, that we were actually going to get down to the water. Another bit of a climb here, a nice steady climb. You can see the tyre marks where previous drivers have driven, but nothing too onerous. And yeah, I was starting to think that this was a bit further than I was expecting to be driving. It did seem to sort of go on and on. I was working on the theory though that, well, you know, the further I get, the closer I'm getting to the water. Nice little flat section through here. Nice little woodland. And just continuing on. Plenty of trees nice and tight on the track. And that's when I saw this. A nice clay hill with some loose rock at the bottom. Fairly well rutted out, and it looked pretty slippery. Now I've just tried to crawl up there, and you can see basically as soon as I try and go anywhere, the vehicle loses traction, gets pulled over to the right there. One of the challenges with having a good crack at this is there's a number of trees there on the left hand side of the track, very close to the edge of the track. So if you have a good go and then slide back, there's a fair chance that your rear quarter panel could end up in one of those trees. So that's what I'm thinking about, where I've just pulled up now to think about, do I want to have a more serious go at this, or is this where we just admit defeat and say that, you know what, that one's not for today. And that's what we've decided. You can see there's another tree coming through on the left, very close to the track. Yeah, look, you're definitely going to have to hit that with some momentum to get up and over it. Wasn't something I wanted to do. I didn't want to risk just sliding back into one of those trees and damaging my rear quarter. I didn't have to go that way. I was simply coming down here to try and find the water access. So if people do actually bring boats down here and launch them, they obviously know what they're doing, and they hit that thing pretty hard with a bit of momentum to get up and over it. So yeah, back past the hut now on our way out. Just that little stream crossing that we crossed just before Quart Pot Hut. So we're back on the west side of the hut now. And making our way back along the limestone cap track back towards the Razorback Spur Track. Certainly some sections of this track are a bit like a spur track, and this is just coming up to the helipad that you saw on the way in. A little bit of a snapshot there in the right field of view of some of the views from this helipad. Great little spot. Nice little clearing before heading back down and continuing on. So this is probably around 6 k's or so from the Razorback Spur Track. And we're making pretty good time as we just work our way along this track. You recall from the drive-in, the whole track's in pretty good condition. There is that one spot with that down tree where we're going to drive over the tree, but apart from that, the rest of it you can maintain a pretty decent pace on. Some of the hills look a bit different when you're coming back this way, and when you've got to drive up them instead of down them. Just coming up on that tree here again, so there's actually 2 trees right next to each other falling down, the ends being cut off one of them so that you can drive around it and only climb up and over one tree trunk rather than both of them. You can see the cut there where they've just cut it and spun it 90 degrees. And yeah, the cruiser just made short work of that. Small enough tree that plenty of clearance underneath for a tree that size. just heading out through the seasonal closer gate there on the limestone gap track, getting close to the Razorback Spur Track. Now you might remember when we turned off Razorback Spur onto Limestone Gap, I actually missed the turn the first time. It's a very sharp left-hand turn, so you'll see that when we come down here. Bit of a descent back to the main track, wash out there on the right, and you can see here we're coming back to rejoin the Razorback Spur Track there on the right. You can see what a sharp turn that is to if you're heading southbound on that one. So yeah, continuing south now on the Razorback Spur, and we'll drive about 3 k's down here and then past the peg leg track and then on to Whitelaws Creek Rd / Wombat Creek Track to head over to the Wombat PO Hut, or Wombat Post Office Hut. So it's the side of, or near the side of some old gold mining operations, and there was a post office in the area once upon a time during the gold rush times. So you can see this Razorback Spur Track's quite a nice drive. Not maybe a spur track in the normal sense of it, but some cracking views there off to that side. And the track itself is in really good condition, so certainly allows for you to maintain a good driving pace along this section. You can see continuing there up ahead, the odd tree fall has an impact here and there. Track sort of moves away from the edge there, it's still in good condition, still fairly flat. So I just pulled up here to double check my directions because there wasn't really any signage here, but yeah, keeping left here onto Whitelaws Creek Rd / Wombat Creek Track, which is also seasonally closed. It's about 11 kilometres along the Whitelaws Creek Rd or Wombat Creek Track to the Wombat PO Hut. Nice steady drive. Most of this is actually a bit of a ridgeline drive, and towards the end of the track you start descending. There's some ups and downs between here and there, obviously. That's the second seasonal closure gate there. See what I mean about it being a bit of a spur track. We're definitely up on the ridgeline here with views to both sides. Good width at that section just there. And just descending a little right now. So this was a bit of an unexpected find. That's the thing, you get out into these areas you haven't been to before, you never know what you're going to find. This is a great little track, really nice drive along here, and I was certainly looking forward to finding another high country hut at the end of it. Bit of a steady descent through that section, but we're still very much on the spur track. And you can see into the distance there the track dropping away. It It is a pretty long, steady descent through here. None of it's particularly steep. All quite manageable. So yeah, still maintaining a good pace. So still working our way down, that's for sure. You can tell from the hills in the distance we are starting to get down towards the valley a little bit. The humps there to divert water off the track are certainly a decent size. And I did have the feeling that this track has probably been graded, not immediately, but you know, probably within the last year or so since when I drove this. And just to remind you guys, this was filmed June long weekend in 2024. So these tracks could have already changed a bit from what you're seeing here, and definitely keen to see that if anyone wants to share any photos. If they've if you've been there more recently than when we filmed this. Almost level at this point, and yeah, just covering the ground needed to get through to the Wombat PO Hut. I really had no idea how far away I was or when it was coming up. A little bit of a stream crossing just here. Nice little exit. Again, plenty of tree ferns and bracken fern around, and we're able to get mobile fairly readily after that crossing. And you can see here sort of a well-worn path on the track being in really good condition. You know, no real ruts or potholes or bog holes or anything like that. Just a good dirt track to drive on. Starting to think we must be getting close to the hut. Crested that hill and continuing our way down now. Yeah, like the track through to Quart Pot Flat Hut, this is super drivable by anyone in just about any vehicle. You know, if you've got a four-wheel drive, even an all-wheel drive, if the conditions are dry as they were when I drove this, you're really not going to have an issue. Need a decent ramp over, I guess, to get over some of those humps, but that's about it. You can see the track splits here to the right and then to the left. It's a question of which way do we want to go. Decided to keep left because the way to the right more than likely could end up heading actually away from the hut, because there's two other tracks that sort of intertwine So yeah, just come through to this massive open area here. And I'm thinking to myself that the hut must be around here somewhere, otherwise why would this area be here? So just following this track, which ends up taking me through to a nice open campground here, or campsite on the edge of the trees. Definitely been used in the not too distant past. Bush is fairly dense there, but definitely some camp spots just here that have been used in the not too distant past. So just taking a slightly alternate track back to the main track. And just coming to the end of that big grassed area. Back to that access track that we came in on, and you can just glimpse the Wombat Post Office Hut through the trees there on the left. So I knew I was on the right track, and just a matter of turning left and crossing this little puddle here. I think it is a little stream, but really just seemed more like a puddle. And just yeah, found myself a park out the front there, hut on the left, campfire on the right. Here we are at the Wombat Post Office Hut. More modern style corrugated iron hut. Just drove through the campground. You could sort of camp here, but it's kind of on the track. There's a long drop here, tucked away down over there. So that's certainly handy. And there's a plaque up here. Let's go and have a look at that. Cool to see these huts are still here. Wow, so this is a memorial plaque of pioneers in the area who lost their life. Some of them were just kids, babies. 2.5 years, 3 years, 4 months, 2.5, 4 years old. 1863 through to 1875. Obviously a bit of history here. Fires in fireplaces only. Not sure people have been listening to that one. So brick chimney on this one, or brick fireplace. Definitely a more modern hut. Almost high enough. Inside, the ceiling's a good height. Old little sink. Some cooking implements. Somebody's left some water here. So, yeah, dirt floor, like most of the huts. And there's the fireplace. Pretty cool hut. Different to your normal high country huts. Probably a little more modern maybe. Maybe it's been rebuilt. I'll have to see what history I can dig up on this one. So yeah, great little visit there to the Wombat Post Office Hut, and you know, as a campground, having the long drop there makes life a bit easy as well. So well worth talking to, well worth considering visiting this one. And great little stopping point. And the good thing with this one is it's not one way in, one way out. There's actually 3 tracks that come into this. There's the Whitelaws Creek Rd, Wombat Creek Track that we came in on. There's 1 mile spur track, that's sort of the middle one, and then there's the 4 mile creek track, which is the one we want to take because we're looking now to head out on 4 mile creek track for just a couple of Ks, and then take a left onto the JP Gap track, and we're going to head down to Kennedy's Hut, which is the 3rd hut in this area. So super close area for these huts. They're only a few sort of Ks apart from each other. Once again, making pretty good time. The track back out of here is in pretty good nick. Certainly something that you could see would get a little slippery and prone to forming ruts in winter, which is no doubt why these tracks and the access here is seasonal. So seasonally closed tracks, all of these in this area. That means that after the King's birthday long weekend in June, they're closed through to end of October, beginning of November, just depending. So you can get that information from parks on their website. They list all the tracks individually and what dates they close and reopen. So on our way out, keeping left here because we want to head towards the 4 mile gap track. It was a little bit hard to know exactly which was going to be the right way to go, but knowing that it was the leftmost track on the way out, I just sort of kept keeping left, banking on the fact that was going to end me up on that track. And that's exactly what happened. We were on the correct track and making our way. Again, this track's in good nick and we're making decent time, which is how I was able to visit all of these just in a single day trip, albeit I did get an early start. So yeah, we've reached that turn off there, so we've just turned left onto the JP Gap track. So turned off 4 mile creek track, so that's the first 2 Ks there done, and as you just saw on the screen, we've got about 8 kilometres of the JP Gap track to go before we get to Kennedy's Hut. As you're seeing with each of these shots, look, it's a very manageable, essentially 2-wheel drive track. Certainly in dry conditions, that's true. Nothing too onerous at all about this. So a little bit of a climb here. Bit gravelly, more so than previous sections of the track, but still plenty of good traction. It's been well graded. The little washouts on the side to divert the water off, sort of doing their job. And yeah, it's not too long, and we're sort of heading towards what looks like a bit of a ridge line here. Just slowed up for that small branch across the track there, like a little speed hump. And obviously up ahead here you can see that the track was starting to descend, so it didn't speed up too much. Ready to utilise that engine braking on the descent to keep our speed under control. See now the track has turned into a proper sort of ridgeline track with it falling away on both sides. Some nice views. Not that the camera is quite picking those up, but all the more reason for you guys to get out and drive this one. You can see we're keeping a pretty steady pace through here. No reason not to. And it definitely looks like they've had some controlled burns in this area to get rid of some of the fuel in the lead up to fire season. So yeah, those controlled burns, they just burn along the ground, sometimes called a fuel reduction burn. They get rid of the grasses and other things around the trees to make it almost like a fire break. Starting to descend now a little bit, and again, you know, they've got a bit of contour to them, but not overly steep. Good long steady one here. Very typical section of high country track here on the side of the hill, where you've got the bank on one side and then it drops off on the left there. Again, that changes very quickly along the length of this track, and you can see coming up it's looking like we're going to be starting to descend, which is exactly what I was sort of expecting, knowing that Kennedy's hut is on the bank of the Minamata River. So nice steady descent, again nothing too steep. You can see the track here is sort of got a bit of that white sand in it, white clay as well. Definitely prone to getting soft when wet, and certainly something that'll probably get some decent erosion gullies throughout the year from water running down it. So I can see this section of track becoming much more difficult to drive up than what it is to drive down today into the future. And something that you just might want to consider when you're planning your route. I think the way I've come is probably ultimately going to be the easier way for most people. You can see how torn up this particular little climb here is already. So yeah, still working our way down here. Nice easy drive, and still evidence of those controlled burns there on the right to reduce the fuel load, but definitely starting to feel like we're getting close now. See here, coming up to another descent. Track's a little bit chewed up, a couple of good humps. I had the feeling that this had been graded relatively recently, not obviously immediately before I've come out here. You can see there on the left evidence of a previous bypass track. Still descending. Making pretty good time. So yeah, just coming up on Kennedy's hut now. You can see there's a couple other people here already. They weren't camping, they were just on a day trip like me. I think they were. I had a chat to those guys, and I think they were heading up towards. They were going to do Wombat PO and then Quart Pot and maybe camp at Quart Pot Hut. Sort of the reverse of what I was doing. You can see there a bit of water in the middle, down this far. Catch you later. Big sandbar in the middle there as well. So it'd be a great little spot to get out there and have a bit of a swim if you were so inclined. Nice view of Kennedy's hut there. Nice traditional log cabin style hut. Crikey, she's got an old fridge in this one. Bit of a pot belly. Couple of old bunk beds. Bit of a unit. Special. Bottle collection. Not a bad looking campsite here at all. Met a river right there. Long drop just up over there. And Kennedy's hut right here. So yeah, another cracking couple of huts, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like this video if you liked it. Leave a comment down below.
Cracking hut.
And please do subscribe to the channel. Also, really appreciate it if you guys could jump on the Facebook page and give that a like, as I had to rebuild that in the second half of last year, and it doesn't have a lot of likes on it anymore because I lost that page. Long story. Anyway, thanks guys. See you in the next video.